Welcome back to Hardball. We already know there's a lot at stake for the Republican Party come 2018, but among the many troubles that they have is also the looming specter of potential impeachment. While Democrats have been careful about raising that prospect, the promotion of a key member of the Judiciary Committee leaves them now in a better position to deal with that possibility should it arise. I'm talking impeachment. According to the Washington Post, the selection of Representative Jerrold Nadler as the ranking Democrat on the Judiciary Committee was the clearest sign yet of how seriously House Democrats consider the possibility of a full-blown constitutional showdown with Trump. A constitutional lawyer from New York, Nadler's a longtime Trump antagonist who butted heads over the developers' real estate proposals long before Trump entered politics. If Democrats win back the House in 2018, Congressman Nadler would lead the committee, he'd be chairman, that traditionally drafts articles of impeachment. The move comes as Democratic lawmakers sound the alarm that the president and his allies will stop at nothing to end the Russian investigation.
I believe that the president wants all of this shut down. He wants to shut down these investigations, and he wants to fire Special Counsel Mueller.
These truly are red lines and simply cannot allow them to be crossed.
Look, if he wants to follow in the footsteps of Richard Nixon, he's welcome to try, but it will not end well for him.
This is a fight for the soul of our democracy, nothing less. And so I'm going to work hard to make sure we save that democracy, and I will fight until I die.
Wow. Anyway, I'm joined right now by Joey Ainsley, investigative reporter with NBC News, and Ned Price is a former special assistant to President Obama and an MSNBC contributor. Thank you. Joey, I want you to go through the importance of the committee. It is the Judiciary Committee. I remember going back to Peter Rodino, bringing down his moderate Democrat, a big city Democrat, bringing down Nixon. It happens that way. They're the tools of impeachment, that committee.
It does, and obviously it would be a big boon in their favor if they actually had the majority in the next Congress.
They can do that. They're close.
So with that in mind, that is why whoever becomes this next Democratic leader of this committee matters. And so with Jerry Nadler's election, that means that Democrats, first of all, are looking at the person with the most seniority, so it's not completely surprising. But it's interesting that when he ran, he was really touting his experience as a constitutional lawyer should a constitutional crisis arise. Exactly. No one wants to say the I word yet, not impeachment. But we've heard a lot of talk about a constitutional crisis, and they would want someone in that position, Chris, who would be able to do a very thorough and professional job. You know,
Ned, you haven't been on much, but I'll tell you something. I think there are about 25 Democrats that would have voted for impeachment on inaugural day. So that's okay. They're on the hard left. They don't like what Trump stands for. Fair enough. It's political in many ways, this process. But the ones that are going to make the difference are the moderates, the thoughtful people, the senior people that have been around a while. When they move, it matters.
Well, I think that's exactly right, Chris. And I think you've seen the tide changing, especially in recent days, as rumors have ramped up that Trump could be making a move against Bob Mueller, the special counsel, in the coming days, potentially even around the holidays. I think
when the Congress is out of session.
When the Congress is out of session, people are distracted. I think the floor speech you showed a snippet of it, of Senator Warner laying down a red line, saying that if Trump were to move against the special counsel, that would constitute a red line. We've seen Adam Schiff, the ranking member on the House Intel Committee, come out and say very strongly that he feels that the Republican majority is trying to shut down his investigation. They are trying to conclude this by the new year with a lot of business yet to be done, according to Adam Schiff, this top Democrat. So I think you are starting to see these very mainstream, these very middle-of-the-road individuals come out and say, these are our red lines, enough is enough, justice has to be done here.
What do you think of the meeting with his secretary for all these years, his top assistant? I mean, she's now moved on to a much bigger position, but she's really been his confidential assistant for all these years. Whenever you wanted to get him on the air or something, you had to deal with her. And she was great, I must say, very professional.
Sure. I mean, she was known as the gatekeeper for decades. You had to go through Rona Graff in order to get to Donald Trump. And that is, of course, why Rob Goldstone wanted Donald Trump Jr. in June of 2016 to go to his father and say, we have dirt on Hillary Clinton. Whether or not that got to Rona Graff, whether or not that got to Trump, we'll see. I'm sure Mueller's looking into that. But the committee, of course, who interviewed her today, is the House Intelligence Committee, Chris. And we know that they
Nunes isn't worth much.
Well, they've been accused of being very political with
very much the tool. The tools of the president.
And Democrats were really upset that they did this meeting in an undisclosed place in New York just a few days before Christmas, not in a office space across the hill where everyone could go join. So a lot of people are saying they did that in a way that there couldn't be enough Democrats.
Were there Democrats in the room? Were there Democrats?
I think a few who were in town could go, but it wasn't something that it's walking across the street. It's a little.
What do you
different.
make of that, Ned? Because I wonder, it's almost like executive privilege. When somebody works with you for all those years, that person knows everything. Well, and they also can sniff out what happened, really. They know what really happened. You can, if you work for somebody for a while, you can figure them out and what they're up to.
Well, and Rona Graff is especially well-positioned because in addition to being a political and social dinosaur, Donald Trump
I think
is
political advisor, too. I think she advised him.
Well, and political advisor, but he's also a technological dinosaur, and he doesn't use emails. He doesn't use a computer. And so what Rona would do, she would actually print out memos and emails, show them to him. And so she was, as Julia was saying, truly the gatekeeper. And so she would have a lot more fidelity.
Are they easier to grab, or the government wants to grab a piece of paper you had to pull out of your trash can or some drawer? Is that easier to get than some email?
It could well be. I have a feeling that people like...
It might be harder. It might be smart on his part not to do all this on email. I think you should never use email for sneaky stuff if you have it in your life.
I also have a feeling she was very scrupulous in covering tracks and getting rid of a paper trail if there was something nefarious there. But what she has in her head, I think, is the most important.
Yeah.
The fact that she knows where Donald Trump was. She knows what meetings he was included in. She knows the decisions he weighed in on. And I think key will be this June 2016.
Would she know
Trump
whether he was capable of a purely national political decision or everything would be mixed in with his desire to make money?
Yeah,
I mean, know that? I would think she would know. If Donald wants to do it, it must have something to do with money.
Yeah, she knows the ins and outs. She knows what his motivations are. I mean, she also knew him before he got into politics. So she's definitely a key witness. The question is this the right committee to get those answers out of her?
All I know is every time it was like, when he tried to win, 2000, he was teasing he was going to run for president, 2004. It started, I think, in the 90s. Yeah. And every time I'd call up, she'd say, well, he really is running this time. And I said, really? And it's like, it's Charlie Brown. You're really going to hold the football this time or drop it? Every time I'd say, is he really running? Oh, yeah, I think he's very serious this time. Very serious. Yeah, it took a while, but he did run eventually. Let me ask you about the Pence. Anyway, despite rumors that the president will attempt to remove the special counsel, here he is. Vice President Pence told CBS that the White House will continue to cooperate with Robert Mueller. Here's the VP.
My view of all these matters is that the special counsel has a job to do. We're fully cooperating.
When you say you'll cooperate, you mean you personally are willing to cooperate with Bob Mueller?
Oh, we've been fully cooperating with the special counsel's office, and we'll continue to.
Well, the vice president dodged when asked whether he knew that former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn lied to the FBI.
Just clarify how you understand what happened with Mike Flynn. When he was fired, did you know he had lied to the FBI?
What I can tell you is I knew that he lied to me. And I know the president made the right decision with regard to him.
What do you make of this guy? Is he waiting his turn or what? He's so religious in the way he talks. It sounds like a sermon or something. Yeah.
He's keeping his hands clean.
He's prayerful.
He's keeping his hands clean. That's what
That's
any
right. So
vice
he
president
said, I'm
would be
playing
doing
ball
right
with a guy. I'm not going to undermine for 1 second this prosecution, right?
Well, I don't think that should give anyone a lot of comfort. Let's recall that the day Mike Flynn was fired, and maybe the day before Mike Flynn was fired, the administration said the president had confidence in Mike Flynn. 6 days before Jim Comey was fired, the president had full confidence in Jim Comey. So I don't really think these claims by the administration should give us much solace. But Mike Pence is a very interesting character. He's been the Teflon vice president. He has.
Yeah, but wait a minute. That's nice, but that's not his job to be. You're supposed to take the heat. VPs are supposed, whether Richard Nixon or who it's supposed to be, you're supposed to be the one out there spearheading the attack on the enemy, taking the shots at them, and taking the brunt of the attack. He looks like he's being protected by Trump. If I were Trump, I'd say, what am I here for, to protect Mike Pence? Pence never says anything.
He certainly had to be the one to go out and sell to the American people that Michael Flynn never discussed sanctions with Kislyak. So, depending on what went on behind the scenes then, he may have been taking some of the dirt. But it's clear that they are trying to distance Pence from all of this. They can have the president's legal team. They can have the president himself. They can have Republicans on the Hill all undermining Mueller, building all this heat so that if he does get fired overnight, they can say he deserved it.
All I know is I root for the football player with mud all over him at the end of the game, not the guy with the clean uniform. I mean, it's just weird. This guy's got the clean uniform. Have you been in the game, sir? Anyway, Joy Ansley, it's great. Happy holidays, Ned, too.